Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video, we're going to be talking about something that I feel like got very underreported for patch 10.1.7, and that's a lot of items, old items, were re-added to the game in patch 10.1.7. Especially, items from like original vanilla WoW, right? These very, very old and unique items. So, just a quick backstory on this. Basically, when Cataclysm happened, levels changed for zones, right? The level of mobs were different in zones. When this happened, things that dropped unique items could no longer drop because the level of the item didn't match the level of the mob anymore. One of these cases was like Shadowfang and Shadowfang Keep. They ended up changing that to where it could drop. For a long time, Shadowfang could no longer drop in Shadowfang Keep. The most recent one before this was actually Scalebelly. They re-added Chromatic Sword to Scalebelly's drop loot thing. I can't remember if this was in Shadowlands or the very, very beginning of Dragonflight, but there were tons and tons of people. I think it was during Shadowlands, but I'm not sure. Just tons of people farming this thing. So at this point, it's not worth nearly as much because a ton of people came back and farmed it. But this was like a very cool sword or whatever, and it was re-added. So what they've done is they've re-added a lot of things similar to this. So we're going to talk about some of these things, and then I'm going to show you what I do personally for it. So the reason why you might want to do this is there's two reasons, right? For your own personal transmog, some of these items are literally unique, and so no other things in the game have their models, right? So that means two things. One, you can have a unique transmog, or two, you could possibly sell the item for a lot of gold if you do get lucky enough to get them. They're not guaranteed drops, right? They're percent drops off of a specific mob that also has a percent chance to spawn, a rare spawn, So we'll talk about some of these, and I'll also kind of show you what I do. Now, I will put the link to this in the description, but there's actually somebody made a spreadsheet of some of the items that we're returning, and I don't know if this is completed or just what they have so far, but you can see here, hopefully you can see here, some of the things that we're returning, and what we have is mostly old zones, right? Like not just old zones, but low level zones, I mean, because that's where the level squish thing happened the most, right? Was from those low zones. They were the most affected by the Cataclysm thing, right? Like Felwood is still a high level zone now, just like it was then. So that wasn't affected that much. So that's not a big deal. So we have Staff of Nobles from the Brainwashed Noble in the Dead Mines. Like before you go into the Dead Mines, there's a rare spawn. He can now drop the Staff of Nobles again. That was something he could drop. If you're playing Hardcore Classic right now, a lot of this stuff could be very nostalgic to you. Some of the stuff in Uldaman can drop again, and I don't know if this is the outside or the dungeon. It says dungeons and raids, but it could be the outside, like the Brainwashed Noble. I'm not sure on that. We have Eastern Kingdom's Alteric Mountain zone drop, Arethi Highlands off of rares. I also have zone drops there. All kinds of things. Tons of stuff in Dun Moreau that was taken out of the game is now back. Tons of stuff in Duskwood is now back, both zone drops and off of the rares there. And we're going to talk about a few of the rares, but I encourage you to like look through the spreadsheet and like look for items that maybe you want. Some of the stuff from Elwyn Forest is back. Loch Moden has a ton of stuff as well. Red Ridge Mountains has a ton of stuff. Tearsfall Glades, Westfall, Wetlands, all kinds of stuff. Then we get a little bit into Calmador, is mostly like the Barrens. That looks like it got affected by that a lot. A lot of this stuff is Eastern Kingdoms, but maybe that's just this could not be completed yet. I don't know for sure if the spreadsheet is completed or whatever. But a lot of this stuff is Eastern Kingdoms. So I've made a video similar to this before, but I'll kind of show you what I like to do. And this is both it's for the reasons I said. One, either I'm going to get some cool transmog items for myself that I don't have that are unique, or two, maybe I'll sell it because I don't really care about it, about the certain piece of transmog, and it sells for a lot of gold. I mean, some of these things sell for a lot of gold if you're lucky enough to get them. And we'll talk about a few of those. So what I literally do is I come down here. Two add-ons are going to help you with this, and that's going to be Rare Scanner and Gathermate. Okay, and I don't know if you have to get an extension for Gathermate, but Gathermate's going to show you where these rare chests spawn. Okay, so these are going to help you with zone drops right? Because now some of these zone drops are back, right? And they also just have rare items as well in them as well. And so I basically go to the chests in the higher level zones. And maybe I'll start going to more in the lower level zones with some of the zone drops coming back. And then I hit up a few rare spawns along the way that have very unique items. So what I personally do is I come down here to Jaguar Isle. Now recently we got the secret finding mount around here. And there's a chest here. It's not spawned right now, as you can see, but it would be right in front of me. And then I head up to the next chest, and then we get up here as we head up north. There's some 3 chests of possible spawns. And then there's Lord Sacralis or whatever his name is, and he drops a couple unique things. He drops a scepter that's completely unique, and he drops a necklace. Of course, that's not going to be worth anything because you can't transmog it. It's probably not worth anything to you either, but he does drop a scepter. As we already talked about, up here in a cave, you have Scale Belly. Still worth checking out if you're doing this. Kill him and see if you get Chromatic Sword to drop. And then what I personally do is I head up here. If I'm just being really chill, I'll check for a couple chest spawns on my way up to Westfall. I go up to Westfall. What you really want to check in Westfall, of course, like I said, if you get the add-on, you can check all of the rare spawns. You can check all of the chest spawns. If the chest is in a weird spot, it might be in a cave, right? But the one you really want to check here is Leprithus in Westfall. And that's because it drops Ghoul Fang. I'd have to find it here on the loot table. But it drops there it is, a unique 2-handed sword. And this will sell for a lot of gold if you're able to get that to drop. I believe the rare spawn down here, Sergeant Bratclaw, also drops a unique item, but I'm not sure off the top of my head. A lot of the stuff I've forgotten. I remember which rares to kill, but I don't necessarily remember the stuff that they drop. They had a ton of stuff in Duskwood, just zone drops too, like just killing mobs even. You could technically, get something cool. But I know that Nefaru down here in the mine, in the cave down here, it's a mine east of Brightwood Orchard. And then the spider, Neuraxis, drops actually a dagger, Neuraxis' Fang, up here east of Darkshire. So those are 2 like mega rares that have really cool items. And then then it's up to you. You can hit some of these places or not. Swamp of Sorrows, in particular, has Molt Thorn, which drops something. Again, I can't remember exactly what. I know Molt Thorn drops something. Red Ridge has all kinds of things. Burning Steps, in my opinion, is worth stopping at just to even check the chests here. In Burning Steps, a lot of them are right out in the open, and so Burning Steps is, in my opinion, worth checking out. And then you just head yourself north. Like I said, Lochmoden has a ton, Wetlands has a ton, and I just make my way north up till the top. Sometimes I go all the way up to Eastern Plaguelands. As you could see in that spreadsheet, nothing was really added there, but you can just check out the chests there or whatever, and you can still get just like the rare level high level blues from Classic or whatever, because Eastern Plaguelands is still a high level zone just like it was back in the day as well. So it's actually the kind of the same stuff that can come from that when you check those out. For Arethi, you probably are going to want to talk to Zadormi, make sure you're in old Arethi, I imagine, and not new Arethi, because there's a ton of stuff added there, so you can check out Arethi as well. As long as I imagine you have to talk to Zadormi and make sure you're in the old version of it, and not the new version where Alliance won the battle for Stromgarde and it's like an Alliance city again. Hopefully they end up, putting that into the game, but and like making more of that. But that's not really what this video is about. And then of course you can head to over here, and you can do similar things here as well. There are mobs that have like really rare items. I know in Thousand Needles, just one off the top of my head, there's a crab thing that lives underwater near the raceway. I believe this can drop something that's mega rare as well. But yeah, you could check out anything that you want. They added some things back in Winter Spring on the spreadsheet. But overall, I encourage you, if you either like transmog or you want to, it's kind of like it's a roll of the dice, right? You could do this whole run. You could go up the entire Eastern Kingdoms and get like one item that maybe sells for 3,000 or 5,000 gold, right? Which is not probably worth your time really, but maybe it's a transmog you don't have and you just learn it or whatever. But you can do this if you like. It's kind of like a nostalgia thing. You're doing something in the old zones. For me, it's like a thrill when you get something that's really rare So it's kind of like for the thrill. The other night I got Foreman's Vest, which is an extremely rare item. It could sell for a lot of gold, but if the price keeps going down, because more people are going to be doing this, of course, maybe it's something I just learned because it's very rare. And it's just very cool to have something very rare drop. And it's kind of a form of mount farming in a way, except for you're kind of like item farming. You're targeting chest spawns and rare spawns instead of like bosses in a raid or something. So if you're bored, if you're nostalgic, if you want to, take a lottery chance at making some gold or fill out your transmog, collection, you could, check this out, try this out, check out the spreadsheet. Like I said, I'll link the article and spreadsheet in the description below if you want to like really dive into it. If not, that's okay too. As always, I do ask you to please subscribe to my channel because it helps me out a lot. And other than that, everybody, have a good one.